Hi, everybody. I see people are flowing in. We will be starting in just a few minutes, just giving everybody a chance to come on in, but welcome. As people are starting to flow in, just want to let you know we'll be starting in just a few short moments. Thank you. All right, so I think we are going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Technology Adoption in the Built Environment, Moving to the Cloud. Before we get too far in, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ashley DeCalabas. I am the Digital Marketing Specialist over here at LoadSpring Solutions. Few things up top, we will be having a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions now or during the presentation, please feel free to fill out the little Q&A chat box that you'll find at the bottom of your screen. And there will be an opportunity for those to be answered at the end after the presentations. All right, so today we are very excited to have with us from Cost-OS, Marketing and Creative Director, Mike Holland, and from LoadSpring, Vice President of Channel Sales, Steve Kokol. They are here with us to discuss how to maximize relations between your cloud-hosted applications. Okay, so without further ado, I will hand this over to Michael to go ahead and get us started.
All right, thanks, Ashley.
Yeah.
All right, guess everybody can see my screen, hopefully.
Yes.
All right. Welcome and good morning and good afternoon to everyone for joining us today. Thank you for taking time out of your valuable days. We do appreciate that. We hope that you'll get a little insight into tech adoption and moving to the cloud today. And let's get started. Hi and welcome. My name is Michael Holland. I'm the Marketing Creative Director for Cost-OS. We're an enterprise estimating technology company. You can see a little bit about my past there. Most of it has been in the construction technology industry. I have had a little stint in real estate and North American dental supplies. I'm born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, the real home of rock and roll. None of that other place we won't mention. I've been in construction technology for over 20 years. I've been with some of the innovators and global companies, global tech firms. I've seen construction tech take leaps and bounds over the years, from companies moving to digitizer boards to on-screen takeoff tools, and even now using those 2D plans and creating a fully classified 3D model from those plans. Big sports fan, outdoorsman, all that good stuff. Here's what we'll be talking about today. The built environment is undergoing a massive digital transformation, but the rate of adoption for technology with contractors is still pretty slow compared to other industries. There's been an explosion of construction-specific software and technology over the last several years, including VR and estimating software. We demonstrated that last week at a trade show in Vegas. 3D and BIM tools, worksite tech like drones and scanning technology. Computers are evolving, becoming more powerful with processing speeds, improved graphics, and that's laid the foundation for this boom in technology. The use of 3D, the crunching of big data, all have benefited from increased computing power. That said, the construction industry still spends about 80% of less of their revenue on information technology compared to other industries. So here's what we'll be talking about today. What are some of the reasons for slow tech adoption from contractors? How did COVID-19 affect technology adoption? Do digital leaders outperform non-adopters? What's the best place to find construction technology? Am I using data to the best of my advantage? And what's the best vehicle for it? And finally, the cloud is an established technology where you can take advantage of data and start your digital transformation very easily. So why slow technology adoption in construction? The construction industry has been notorious slow in digital adoption, still using Excel sheets, A3 drawings, and clipboards in used to manage large construction projects. According to JB Knowledge, a tech solutions company for insurance and risk management, subcontractor dependence on spreadsheets only decreased 1% from 2018 to 2019. In our business and estimating, we see Excel use all the time. It's literally our biggest competitor. Companies are still hesitant to switch. A lot of that may deal with the older generation versus the younger generation. There's someone there, you've got your chief estimator. He's been in the company for years. He spent all his time and knowledge building Excel sheets, and once he's gone, his information and his knowledge is gone. Maybe he knows where those formulas are buried in those Excel sheets. And even still, we've still seen people using digitizer boards for their takeoff. A skill shortage, lack of training, and workers' inherent aversion to technology played a huge role in this slow technology adoption. According to the Chartered Institute of Building, 59% of companies say their workforce doesn't have the skills needed to work with BIM. JB Knowledge found that nearly 60% of construction firms do not have a dedicated research and development budget, and 38% lack staff to support technology as a primary limiting factor in adopting new technology. It's no wonder construction workers aren't willing and aren't jumping on the board the technology train. In the eyes of many construction workers, technology is the great unknown. Tools which they will struggle to master, or even worse, make their roles redundant. So what about contractors that are actively seeking out new tech opportunities to make process improvements? Their hesitation to implement new software can be a result of project costs. Most project costs are incurred by the contractors, who are always trying to reduce their overhead. New software and technologies will likely need to be implemented on the side of someone's desk instead of having dedicated corporate resources to test and implement the software. Construction is a project-based industry. Although individual projects are a great opportunity to isolate and evaluate new technologies, the stakes are always too high to justify the risks. As contractors want to ensure they deliver for their clients, testing new tech is difficult when working under project timelines. There are too many stakeholders. Deciding who pays for the rollout of new technology and software can be a roadblock for some firms. Should the client, contractor, or architect or engineering firm take on those costs? Learning curve. Depending on the transfer of data, standing up a lot of technology for construction companies can take a lot of time and a lot of effort on the part of the contractor. Construction projects don't stop for lengthy software installation and implementation and training, which can lead to hesitation by contractors to start from scratch, learn a new tool. A lack of simple integrations. A lot of, oops, my apologies for that. There we go. There's too many stakeholders. Deciding who pays for it can be a roadblock, a learning curve, and then the lack of simple integrations. A lot of new software solutions being developed are process specific and don't communicate with other tools. Having the tech stack acting as one cohesive unit will require IT specialists and special people to work with complex APIs, application programming interfaces, and they can take months to set up. Our software is an open API, so we have a lot of those basic integrations already built in, and there's no need for additional programming or a data or analyst use. Construction techniques have not changed much over the years, so why is there a need for technology to disrupt these tried and tested procedures? The answer, we all went through it. The COVID-19 pandemic. Companies were already moving towards increased technology uptake with increased spending, training, and understanding occurring. The COVID-19 pandemic has quickened that pace. As regional COVID-19 lockdowns took hold, construction workers turned to remote work to keep their projects going. Those who had already made the digital investments were better equipped to deal with COVID-19 and remote work and to deal with the fallout of that. And those who failed to spend quickly realized they needed to get on board. According to IBM, in the wake of the pandemic, 62% of executives have assigned high or very high priority to digital transformation in 2022, compared to just 17% in 2018. This move to the new normal has already increased construction workers' and clients' knowledge and understanding of digital solutions. Everybody's used to getting on Teams now and doing Zoom meetings and things like that. This digital disruption within the construction ecosystem has reinforced how digital solutions are crucial to maintaining growth and productivity. This drive forward must continue with an increased focus placed on training workers and providing them with the skills they need to realize the benefits of construction technology. Are digital leaders better off? In 2020, KPMG had the largest IT leadership survey in the world with over 4,200 responses from CIOs and technology executives from 83 countries. When asked how their organization performed relative to their competitors, there was a clear gap between digital leaders and the rest of their respective industries when it came to key success metrics. There was a plus 12% advantage in operational efficiency, plus 14% in customer experience, plus 12% in customer trust, and then employees benefited plus 11%. So where do we go to find this new construction technology? According to FMI, a technology and construction firm, one of the main reasons for slower technology adoption is simply because many firms aren't aware of the solutions that are available to them. So where do we find it? Look to construction technology leaders. A lack of integrations can often be a speed bump for tech adoption. That being the case, leading construction software and technology companies are making better effort to provide integrations with multiple point solutions. In our business, we interface with takeoff tools and BIM tools, scheduling, accounting, many different applications. Attend construction conferences focused on technology. Construction conferences give the opportunity to explore and evaluate a number of different technologies in a short amount of time. Of course, COVID-19 has taken some of those into virtual. We just attended a show in person last week in Vegas, solely based on advancing pre-construction technologies. Request a demonstration. Construction software companies love to engage with the greater construction community, and we're happy to walk any contractor through the value of the software we can provide. Contractors should also be assured to ask the right questions and make clear their processes and workflows. Don't get caught up in fancy button pushing demos. Make sure the software can do what it needs it to do on the front end. Discovery workshops can be a great way for the software company to understand your business and provide the solutions that you need. Doing this can also save in your implementation time. We've already discussed what's going on, what your processes are, what your workflows are, and we can implement those on day one. Getting into the software outside of just speaking with the sales rep can help provide a better understanding how it will fit in to your day-to-day objectives and processes. There's plenty of software review sites. Capterra is one. You can help narrow in the process-specific tools. Contractors be also able to find overviews of the different solutions, their respective features, customer reviews, and testimonials, and software comparisons. When navigating these sites, be sure to include construction when searching for process-specific software. This will help narrow the results and ensure that your software that is displayed in the search will handle what you need and handle the complexity of the built environment. The digital transformation, the construction industry is underway and gaining momentum with firms looking for a competitive edge. Whether an organization is just getting started with tech adoption or already a digital leader looking for the best in-class point solution, there are opportunities to drive operational efficiency and effectiveness for every department. Contractors should set clear expectations to the value they want to see out of a software solution. Ask questions and don't hesitate to put potential tools through their paces before implementing them. Let's talk about data. According to FMI, 96% of all data in the E&C industry goes unused. In the KPMG CIO survey mentioned earlier, The largest gap in the report came when respondents were asked how effective their organization is in maximizing the value from their data. Digital leaders reported being 27% more effective than their competitors. It's clear there's an opportunity to gain a competitive edge by adopting the right technology. The earlier, the better. Data is the foundation of decision making. However, at its very essence, construction industry is based on one-off projects and temporary relationships. Much of the vast amount of data that is collected and generated isn't captured, let alone processed and integrated. These missed opportunities are especially apparent across the asset lifecycle, where information and data sharing are one of the key challenges to a digitally enabled industry. Without seamless flow of data from the beginning of the project through the asset lifecycle and beyond, digital solutions are effectively redundant. These temporary relationships also mean that the industry is uncoordinated and adversarial. This causes data ownership to become a complex issue. So how do we resolve this issue? For data to be used correctly enables the successful creation and future proofing of assets. It needs an environment in which it can thrive. That environment is the cloud. Cloud technology has become one of the established sources of innovation. Several construction companies that are willing to move to cloud computing will see a growth in resource utilization. Moreover, storing data securely has become a stress-free process in the cloud. You'll be able to meet huge storage needs of your construction firm on the cloud. Also, data retrieval becomes seamless with no restriction to space. Cloud technology adoption will not only continue to enhance the overall performance of construction companies, but also assist in improving other aspects such as productivity, workflows, and more. Simply put, cloud computing will rule the digital market, and construction businesses that have moved to the cloud will stay one step ahead of the competition. That's why Cost-OS has partnered with LoadSpring Solutions as our cloud hosting partner. And Steve Kokol, VP of Channel Sales with LoadSpring, will take it from here.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Thanks for the insightful presentation. So we'll look forward to talking more about the digital transformation, and I'll share some slides with you as well to talk about that specifically. So as Michael said, my name is Steve Kokol. I'm a VP of Channel Sales at LoadSpring. And I'm going to talk to you about the push for digital. I mean, you hear a lot about the cloud and digital transformation, and what is that? And Michael spoke a lot about data and making sure that data is secure. And we'll talk about that, and also then wrap it up with why the Cost-OS solution and LoadSpring in our project platform. So as Michael, I've been in the technology field my entire career. Worked with LoadSpring, and prior to that, I worked with IBM. I was the global head of sales for Primavera Systems prior to the Oracle acquisition. I also worked for SunGard Availability Services in the disaster recovery and business continuity field. So LoadSpring brings together a lot of my experience from project controls perspective, as well as disaster recovery and business continuity. Personally, I live on the East Coast of the United States in the Philadelphia area. I lived in London for 2.5 years when we opened up the office for Primavera, had an office in Hong Kong, which I frequented often as well. And I've done business in about 70 different countries throughout the world. What I like to do is I like to ski, both water ski and snow ski. I try my hand at golf occasionally as well. So outdoors a lot, and really enjoying both the work-life balance. But really, what's digital transformation? You hear a lot about the cloud and digital transformation, and why is that so important to everyone today in both business and our personal lives, for that matter? So this transformation, moving from an analog world or a manual world that Michael talked about, moving from spreadsheets, moving from takeoff boards into a pure digital mode, is continuing at a rapid pace, and it gets more rapid every single day. Those of you who have children, a lot of times we rely on them to say, how do I do something? Because they've grown up in this environment where others are now still moving in that digital direction. Michael talked again about that remote working is here to stay. The pandemic really accelerated that. Many organizations who are returning to work, it's a hybrid model. They're not requiring, in many cases, that people are in the office 5 days a week. It may be 2 or 3 days a week to balance that out. Transactions, we do more and more transactions online. Most people buy things on Amazon or eBay. A lot of people have their groceries delivered automatically as they continue to refresh their pantry, so to speak. So using the cloud has become more and more of a standard process. And again, you hear about the cloud. Everyone says the cloud. You know, we all have iPhones or some sort of phone, and you think about the cloud. Your data is stored in the cloud. But you really need to take a deeper look at that insofar as what that means. And we'll dig into that a little bit today. How about your project teams? Your project teams today may not all be centralized. They may be across the country. They may be across the globe. And as the sun sets in one geography, the sun is rising in another, and people are taking up and picking up the work that people have done in another geography, and it follows the sun from that perspective. So your experts can be anywhere, as opposed to in the past, they had to be physically sitting in a particular office to be able to access and work effectively. The technology stack, so to speak, that we talk about is continuing to change. Data, the amount of data is accumulating and doubling every 3 years. And that's really accelerating exponentially throughout all of our lives as we continue to store more data. But making sure that data is relevant and usable is important. And we'll talk about that later in the presentation with an offering that LoadSpring has called Project Intel, to make sure that data that you have is indeed usable and it's actionable. So you can actually glean information about that and to be confident in that data to make sure that you're using it properly and the results are going to be will provide information that gives you insights into doing things better in your organization. You're also using a lot more tools these days. In the past, maybe you were simply using a single estimating solution, or you're using a single project controls package. Now we're looking at best of breed, and how do we bring those all together and being able to use those effectively in your job to make you and your company more effective and, bottom line, more profitable for your organization. And then really important is security. LoadSpring lives and breathes on security. We wake up in the morning thinking about security. We go to bed at night thinking about security. There are so many nefarious actors out there today with phishing schemes, with ransomware, et cetera. We're pleased to say that over our 22 years history, we have never had a nefarious actor penetrate the LoadSpring cloud platform. We have 8 layers of security that we go through to ensure that going forward, and making sure that security, that your data is indeed secure, because that's really the lifeblood of your organization. If your data gets in the hands of a competitor, they're going to know the bids that you're working on, and they're going to be able to underbid you. So making sure that it's secure is an important aspect of what we do. What are some of the common challenges in estimating and project controls industries? One, no single point of access for your project controls and estimating applications. And what does that really mean? Well, you may have some systems that work in a standalone environment. Some may work on a client server environment, in a rack in your office. Others may be sitting in a SaaS environment or cloud environment. And you have to figure out where you're accessing them, and you have to have multiple passwords and access points for them. So making sure you have all that access in a single pane of glass to be able to access those as needed based upon the role that you have in your organization. So some people may have access to estimating and project controls, Cost-OS and Primavera, let's say. Others may be simply an estimator who may have access just to Cost-OS and on-screen takeoff, for example. So making sure you have the right access and it's role-based based upon who you are and what you do in your organization. Performance is paramount as well. You don't want to open an application or navigate through an application. It takes you minutes to move from screen to screen. It gets frustrating for you, but it also reduces the adoption rate within your organization. When you make an investment in a software solution, you want your people to use it. You want them to use it effectively. If they don't use it, it may be because of poor performance. They may then revert back to the spreadsheets that Michael spoke about before. So you want to make sure that performance is relevant and applicable to each individual solution that you use. Support. We know that everyone has challenges with support. And that's a common theme that we hear from our customers as we're talking to them about coming into LoadSpring. If I have a support issue, your team needs to diagnose what the support issue is. Is it related to networking? Is it related to a database? Is it related to security? Is it application? And then from there, once you triage that, who then can respond to it? What part of your organization? Luckily, within LoadSpring, our team is an expert in the entire software stack insofar as the software itself, but also the technology behind it insofar as how we stand it up in the cloud. So a single point of access to be able to resolve support issues in a very timely fashion. How about the applications themselves? We all want the latest and greatest version of an application, but that sometimes comes with challenges. If you're in the middle of a big estimate that you need to get out by this Friday, and a software provider you're using in a SaaS environment, in a pure cloud SaaS environment, upgrades the version for you, you now may have some challenges because you may not know how to use certain new features. What we do within LoadSpring, we do the upgrades for you when you want them to be done. We schedule around your time frame as opposed to having to work around an independent software vendor's time frame when they want to upgrade it. So that's a very important aspect of what we do today. Difficult to manage those security threats, making sure that should be out of your mind, because offload that to an organization like LoadSpring who thinks about that 24/7. And then applications implementation too long. When you choose an application, you want to get it up and running. You've gone through this decision process that Michael talked about. You've evaluated various software solutions. Now you're clamoring to use those solutions. And then your IT department says, okay, well, we'll have that up for you in 2.5 months because we have to acquire servers. We have to do the security aspect. We have to implement the software. Being able to, that time to value is very important from that aspect. When you actually go in and implement the software, you want that up and running quickly. And we do that within a 1 to 2 week time period. You're up and running, and then your end users are starting to use and become effective, and you're getting a bigger return on investment. And then integrations. How do I integrate with other software solutions? I need to integrate once I create an estimate and I move forward. I want to move that into a project controls application to be able to start my initial planning cycle. Being able to integrate with various other systems of record is very important, whether they're sitting on premises in your particular environment, whether they're sitting in another cloud environment or a SaaS environment, and providing that as a secure connection as well to be able to integrate that information. And then lastly, lack of visibility. How do you know that you've made this investment? How do you know that people are actually using the software? How do you know that they're using it effectively and that they're using it on a regular basis? Within our platform, you have the ability to see when the last time someone logged in, how much they're using it in the last 90 days to make sure you're getting the right utilization. And if they're not using it, what's the root cause of it? Is it a training issue? Maybe they need more training on the software to make it more effective. So providing that overall visibility is an important aspect as well. So transformation option. Michael talked a lot about data, and data is very important. How do we unify that for these project intensive industries? So creating the perfect project platform, be able to take the best of class software solutions and pulling them together and being able to unify them so your teams can use them, again, based upon the role they have in the organization. Some people may have access to many different tools. Some may have access to a single or just a couple of tools that they need for their particular job. And being able to log into a single platform like LoadSpring, and being able to then automatically just have the applications available to you that you need to use. Or if I'm working on a joint venture project, I may need to bring in a number of tools with a number of different organizations. Having the ability to have a neutral site, so to speak, where different people within a joint venture can access various software solutions, and you have a core set of applications that you serve up to these joint venture partners to be able to use in the solution. It provides the ability to have those organizations access the software securely with performance, and also being able to, again, have that neutral site where I'm not in your firewall, you're not within my firewall, and everyone's happy from that perspective, because no one wants someone outside the organization within that firewall, because it could be a security concern. So being able to have this platform and then be able to serve up particular applications is an important aspect as well to creating this perfect platform for you as a project controls or estimator. The support aspect is important. I touched on that a little bit earlier, but being able to have your employees have the ability very easily to manage and to get support resolved. Being able to have a single point of contact, whether it's software related, whether it's related to the firewall or networking or the database, and being able to configure that very easily provides you with the ability to have unified support and on a very timely basis. LoadSpring provides a 15-minute SLA. So when you open a support ticket with LoadSpring, within 15 minutes, we're going to get back to you and we're going to start resolving it. And like we talked about before, we'll triage that to understand exactly what the issue is, if it's related to the infrastructure, whether related to the software, and we'll take the lead and we'll actually open a support ticket if needed with Cost-OS to be able to, and we'll resolve and we'll own that ticket for you until it's resolved. So a single point of contact, which offloads the need for your teams to do that internally, because honestly, project controls, estimating applications, they're complex, and you need an expert to be able to manage that from a support perspective. I mentioned this earlier, but Project Intel. Project Intel is an offering that LoadSpring has that gives you the ability to extract, clean, and build a data lake to be able to have that data available to you that you're confident in. Confidence in the data is very important. One of our customers thought they had a really good solution from a data lake perspective, and being able to create results and reports around that particular data to make informed decisions. When we dug into it, we found that over 90% of that data was really old or stale data. It was baseline data. It was data from old projects. It was inconsistent data. So the ability to extract the data, the raw data, and put it in a usable data lake, we can do that within a 3-month time period. We'll extract it, we'll clean it, we'll build that data lake, and then you can start reporting upon that. And then we'll work with you to refine that and filter it to make sure that that data is really what you want. So you as project controls experts or executives have confidence that you can make informed decisions based upon historical data that's important to you, and then making decisions to move forward to build and to enhance your business. To really trust that data is important. So let's tie it all together. Why Cost-OS powered by LoadSpring? So you want to connect the business and the project controls data. And data, again, has been a big theme of this discussion today. But Cost-OS runs seamlessly in the cloud with robust performance and speed, so you can create large and small estimates and associated takeoffs associated. So being able to ensure that you have performance as if the application is running right in your home, on your desktop, being able to do that wherever you are, whether I'm in the field, whether I'm in the office, whether I'm working from home, being able to access that data and have performance that you can use that data to use that application effectively. Confidence that you have access to it 24 hours a day. We have a 99.9% SLA. We can increase that to 4 nines or 5 nines as needed, and being able to ensure that the data is available to you so you can continue to work, especially when you have deadlines to create bids going forward. A unified platform for BIM, for project controls, for estimating, and an easy to use experience. So you have, again, that ability to go into a platform and choose the applications, or serve up, that we can serve up those applications to you that are appropriate for the job that you're doing. Reporting on, again, accurate, relevant, clean data. That goes back to the last slide. We talked about project intel, being able to have that data available to you as needed. And then as part of your digital transformation journey, to have that single unified platform, being able to ensure that you have the ability to put all your project controls and estimating applications into a single basket, a single pane of glass, to be able to access them as needed 24/7 with outstanding security, with outstanding performance and support associated with that easy user experience. With that, Ashley would like to open up for questions from any of the participants. Happy to have you again join us today. We really do appreciate it, but happy to answer questions as well.
And if you guys do have any questions, please insert them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. You'll see a little chat box. And to answer previous questions, this recorded presentation and PDF version of these slides will be available to you after the conclusion of this webinar.
Ashley, I see there's a couple in the chat now. Is there anything that we need to answer there? Contact information, certainly, Alex. It is, I'll go to the next slide. Sorry, it's in the way. But there's contact information. And as Ashley said, we'll send out this presentation that will have this information on the last slide, and both Michael and my information.
We do have one question coming in, Steve, if you wanted to look at the Q&A chat box.
So yeah, Carlos, a great question. Can LoadSpring handle the speed requirements for using large BIM and models in Cost-OS? Yes, we can. We're very much so. That's something that we look at, and based on each application, we set up the various server requirements and the GPUs that are needed to do 2 or 3D modeling. So based upon the requirements of each individual user, we make sure, and the applications themselves, we make sure we set up the appropriate configuration within the LoadSpring platform to be able to do that based on the number of users and concurrency of people actually doing BIM, for example. Michael, maybe that next question is for you.
I see. How is BIM implemented into Cost-OS? BIM is it's fully embedded and integrated. We have our own BIM tool where you can import any plans from different file types. It's open IFC file type, so moving back and forth with the data in the files to different applications is no problem with that IFC. Our BIM tool also can do 2D functions as well. So if you're in a model and you need to do an area or counts or things like that, it's all that's linked directly into your takeoff. So yeah, BIM is fully embedded within Cost-OS.
I see another question came in. How quickly can a cloud environment for Cost-OS be set up? Well, it's a great question. Again, I talked about a lot about load time to value. So once you choose an application, you want it up and running. We're all that way. We buy something, we want it. We get a new car, we want it immediately. That's kind of the world we live in. So LoadSpring, we pride ourselves to getting the applications up and running quickly. We have a recipe, so to speak, for each application. We host over 200 different applications in the LoadSpring cloud platform today, and then the ability to stand them up very quickly. We just implemented a customer with with Cost-OS just recently, who actually presented at the Advanced Pre-Construction Trade Show in Las Vegas last week. And they are implementing across 10 different offices. And we had the application up and running for them within less than 2 weeks, with less than 10 business days up and running. So that's our promise to our customers, is to get those applications up and running quickly. Depending on the complexity of the application and the need for any customization of the application itself, that may stretch the time frame a little bit, but some we can get up and running within 2 to 3 days. But Cost-OS, a week to 2 weeks maximum. But thank you for that question.
You want to take that next one, Steve?
Sure. Another great question, Carlos. How do we handle backups of data and estimate deletes an application? So what we have, we do full disaster recovery and business continuity. We have data centers throughout the world, and we replicate that data on a regular basis. Depends upon how often that replication is needed by a customer. At minimum, we do it every 24 hours, but some customers want it done as little as 15 minutes. So we can do it in the increments of daily. We can do it every 8 hours, every 4 hours, down to as little as every 15 minutes. So we replicate that on a regular basis. And we know sometimes things happen. It may be not a major disaster, but you delete some data unintentionally. We can then turn that around and take a backup of that data and restore it for you within that time period. We call it a recovery point objective, RPO. What that recovery point objective is how often we're backing up that data. So we take, again, based upon the contract with us, at a minimum of a daily, but it can be 8 hours, 4 hours, 15 minutes, and we can restore that snapshot for you based upon that information.
See, there's another one there for you.
I am scrolling down, sir. Thank you.
What does LoadSpring integrate with?
What does it integrate with? Yeah, another good question, Jude. So really, it whatever you want is really the answer. But how we do it is important. Is how we actually integrate. So based upon how the applications communicate with one another, whether it's through an API that Michael talked about, whether it's through web services, whether we need to set up a secure VPN or IPsec tunnel. So it really depends upon what those interface points are between those applications as to how we're going to set up that integration point. So we again have the ability to integrate with applications that are sitting on-prem, that are sitting in another cloud environment, sitting in LoadSpring. Doesn't matter where that is. So really we can integrate with any applications, but we just need to know how those applications speak to one another.
I'll take the next one. Is BIM used only for visualization? Within Cost-OS estimating, BIM models are used in takeoff. So you can do multiple takeoff functions, counts, areas, volumes, things like that. And we demonstrated last week at the Advancing Pre-Construction Summit in Las Vegas, what we call BIM AI, where you might get a model from the model creator, and using, not everything is identified inside that model that you need to complete your estimate. So our AI will go in and analyze that model, and it'll actually, based on criteria that are input, it can, things that are mislabeled as a slab, it's really a wall, or a column, things like that can be identified and put properly, so your estimate going forward will be correct. But inside Cost-OS, it's much more than just a pretty picture to spin around and use.
Next one for you, Michael, I think. Is there a comprehensive and foolproof auditing feature?
There is an audit trail for the estimates in our EPS. There's you can see who's last used an estimate. There's reporting features and things like that to get for that audit trail. I'm not sure inside, LoadSpring, if they have any kind of analytics or things for people who are in and out of the software. I'm sure there's reporting and stuff for that side as well.
Yeah, that's it. We'll jump down to that last question as well. So yes, we have that ability as well to dig into that to see who's been accessing the software. Sometimes it's difficult, but many times we can get down to the root cause and see where it is, not to lay blame, but to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then to hop up. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to add to that, inside Cost-OS, there are user roles and assigned roles. So everyone who's in there in the estimate has, access to certain parts or all. And then, as users make changes, you can see that actually live and in real time. There's columns there that let you know who last made a change. So you can immediately track if a number gets changed or a quantity gets changed, you can immediately see who made that change in the system.
Yeah, it looks like Riffin had a follow on, but yes, the ability within LoadSpring and Cost-OS to be able to do that, we should be able to narrow down and understand who did it based upon login times, based upon utilization as well. I'll go back up to Carlos's question about if Cost-OS hosted by LoadSpring, can you still connect to the SQL database and see the database tables and queries directly with them? Yes, we do have the ability to access the SQL database as well. If you want to do that, not everyone wants to do that, but we have that ability to do that, to stand up tools that will allow you to get into the database and see those directly in a secure fashion. But that's an option that people sometimes choose, others do not. I think, Ashley, that is all the questions that we had, and we do appreciate the questions. It's always good to be interactive. It's tough sometimes on sessions like this to do so, but looks like maybe another question did pop in. How are Cost-OS updates handled by LoadSpring? Another great question, Carlos. I touched on that a little bit. So basically, we do the upgrades based upon when you want them to be done. As Cost-OS continues to innovate and to provide new enhancements to the solution, you'll be made aware of those by both Cost-OS and LoadSpring. And then you choose when you want those upgrades to be done. Now, if it's security related, we're going to do that immediately. We're going to patch a system. We're going to get those immediately done, and we'll provide notice to our customers to do that. But if it's feature functionality, we do it based upon your schedule, based upon when you want it to be done. So it's on demand per customer as to when. Each customer has their own instance, and they have the ability to choose when when it is done. You may want to just do those every 6 months. You may want to do them every year, or some may want things done every month. That's purely up to you as to when you want those to be done. So that's a big differentiator with what LoadSpring does versus a pure SaaS environment where you're at the mercy of when the independent software vendor is going to upgrade a version for you, unbeknownst to you potentially, and causing problems or delays in your processes. Do feel free to reach out to us. As Ashley said, we're gonna send out the presentation to everyone. Love to talk to you more. We'll certainly follow up as well between Cost-OS and the LoadSpring team. We appreciate everyone joining today. I hope it was informational. The goal really today was to talk about digital transformation, talk about trends that we're seeing in the market that we live and breathe every single day, and to share that with you, and then to provide some insights into how that all comes together with Cost-OS and LoadSpring in an integrated platform.
And I just wanted to say thank you again to our panelists, Steve and Michael, for joining us today, for answering those questions and the great presentations. And like Steve said, we will be sending this out to you guys afterwards. And with that, this concludes the webinar. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Appreciate your time.